Alright, so we're back to doing some more Common Core Geometry, Module 4, Lesson 13. Looking at Exercise 2 over on page 161, and it looks like we're just going to come up with something so that we can show that the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, or rectangle, but if we can do parallelogram, that'd be great. So let's just open up this little window here. I'll turn on the grid. Now we're just going to plot a couple of points, or maybe we'll just start out with a segment. So I'll do here to here, just to get us started. And to make a parallelogram, I'll go to this tool right here. I'll drop it down to get parallel line. So we need to select a point and a line. So I'll just click up here for a point. Here's good, and this line. Then I'll go ahead with the segment tool, and I'll go ahead and connect these two. And my thinking is these are parallels. If I draw a parallel line here passing through B, then I'll have a parallelogram, two pairs of opposite side parallel. So I'm going to grab the parallel tool again. I had it. So I have to select a point and a line. So I will pick this point right here. I'll pick this line right here. And then, oh, sorry. If I scroll up a little bit, I meant to use this tool over there, I guess. I will go ahead and select that intersection. I can really just use the point tool. It should be smart enough if you see these are highlight, so I should get that intersection. And that point should always be on there. And wherever I do, I should always have a parallelogram. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We don't need all these extra lines, so let's do some hiding of lines. To do that here, we click on this last tool to the right, and I do the show hide. So I click on that. I'll select the things I want to hide. See how that's kind of highlighted? I'll select this to hide. And then if you click on another tool, they should go away. I also don't really want these labels on here, but we'll turn those off a little later. In the meantime, let's finish up the parallelogram. Let's just make a segment here to there. This segment from here to there. In the options, I'm sure I could have turned these off, but since I didn't, I will use the show hide label. So if I turn off the labels for these, I won't have all those little letters hanging around. All right, let's draw in those diagonals, so that'll be some segments. So here's a segment, here's a segment, and again, I'll use this turn off label tool because I don't really need those labeled, at least not right now. And we'll turn on the point tool, or if we want to technically use the intersect tool, I could say this segment and this segment, and it went ahead and made the center for me. So to do some calculations to show that they bisect each other, I'm just going to put up some measurements. So I'm just going to go over here and grab the measuring tool. I'll do distance. So let's measure A to E, and let's measure A to D. And we'll do the same thing on this side. C to E and C to B. And I'm just going to turn on the select tool. I don't really need to see these here cluttering up my diagram, so I'm just going to click on each one, and I'm just going to delete those out of here. So the diagram's a little bit cleaner, and maybe we'll do a calculation. So over here in the input box, why don't we check and see what the relation between AE and AD is, that diagonal. So let's just do that. So we'll do, I can just type in AE divided by AD, and I could do the same thing for CE and CB. So let's just do that calculation as well. CE over CB, and if I grab the tool, I can move this around no matter what my parallelogram looks like. However much those change, I still see that ratio is 0.5, so those diagonals are still bisecting each other. Of course, if I go to rectangle, I can measure up some angles and such too, but hey, since a rectangle is a parallelogram, we know that's going to be the case. If I want to make it look a little nicer, I can do a couple other things too with this little text tool. So maybe I'll just grab this text and I'll draw a little text box out here. And if I turn on this formula bar, then I can make things look really nice. I can hit this drop down, roots and fractions. I'm going to go with fractions. So I'm going to say AE over AD. And I'll put an equal sign because that's going to equal, and then I'll go ahead and put in the values of those. So I'll do another fraction. And right here where the A is, I'm going to put in an object. I'll put in the distance for, maybe you can just put this in, AE, and over AD. And then we should be able to put what the calculation is. It called it I over here, so I'm just going to look for object I, and it should give me the value of I. If I say OK to that, that kind of shows up over here, and that's a little more, I think, easier to read than kind of finding everything over here. This isn't bad, but I think that just makes everything a little bit more clear. I'll just go ahead and repeat the procedure for the other diagonal. So that was the text box. I'll put it over here. I'll turn on the formula. I'm going to go here to roots and fractions. I want the fraction. I'm going to say that this one is CE, that's the shorter part to the center, over CB. I'll put an equals. We'll do another one of these fractions. This time we'll put in the values. Values. Oh, that's kind of messed up. Actually, it should be CE. CE over CB. Over CB. I'll just take this one out. Well, I straightened out that technical difficulty there. So equals, and I think this one was J, so hopefully I'll find object J here. And I'll say OK to that. So, I guess to make things even more clear, if I want to, I could make these colors. So maybe I'll make this one orange. So CE, and maybe I'll make this match. We'll make this orange also. And maybe we'll make the other one red. And we'll make this diagonal red, so just so it shows up a little easier. And now when we grab our tool, we can move these around and we can kind of see how these distances are changing, but the ratio is always 0.5, or so it's always bisecting no matter where we put these or what we do. So I thought that was a nice little lesson for that, and that'll conclude up exercise 2 on page 161. All right, we'll be back with another one soon. Thanks.